I told myself I didn't need him. And then I broke, right in front of him, and he didn't leave. He just stood there in my doorway like he belonged there. Like he wanted to be the one who stayed when I came undone. "I'll just stay until you fall asleep," he said. I didn't say anything back. I couldn't. My throat was tight. My face a mess of dried tears and mascara streaks. I must have looked like hell. But he didn't flinch. He walked over so slowly, like the room might shatter if he moved too fast. And in a way it already had. I had. He didn't ask questions. Didn't try to fix anything. He just sat on the edge of the bed, elbows on his knees, head down like he was trying to hold something back too. We'd known each other since we were 10. Shared bus rides, burnt marshmallows, inside jokes that no one else understood. But tonight that history felt different. He felt different. Lately his eyes stayed on me a little too long. Like he forgot he was supposed to look away. He had a girlfriend. A life. A path that didn't lead anywhere near mine. And yet here he was. Here we were. I shifted under the blanket, trying to quiet the noise inside me. That trembling ache that had nothing to do with heartbreak, and everything to do with him. He looked over. Met my eyes for just a second. And God, I felt it. That thing you're not supposed to feel. That unspoken, forbidden heat that makes your skin too tight, and the air too still. I should have told him to leave. But all I whispered was, "Okay." And that's how it started. With a silence that said too much. And a promise we never spoke out loud. I pretended to fall asleep. That's how scared I was. Of what I might say, or worse, what I might do. He stayed. I heard his breathing shift, slow and steady. Not relaxed exactly. More like someone trying really hard to stay still. The room was dark except for the faint gold glow of my bedside lamp, catching just the edge of his profile. His jaw was tense. Hands folded. Like he was guarding himself from something invisible. Maybe from me. I lay there, eyes closed, heart in full betrayal. Every beat louder than it should be. I hated how much I wanted him to reach for me. Even just a hand. A whisper. Something. We used to be safe. That kind of childhood friendship where you can be in the same room and not talk for hours and it doesn't feel weird. But now there was too much silence. And not the safe kind. This silence had sharp corners. Pressed against my skin. It filled every inch of space between us with things we hadn't said. Like the time he touched my back at a party. Just to move me through the crowd, and I couldn't stop thinking about it for days. Or the night we watched a movie, and our knees touched under the blanket. He didn't move. Neither did I. And the scene on screen, I don't remember a second of it. Because my whole body was busy memorizing that single stupid point of contact. And now this. Him sitting on my bed like he didn't want to be anywhere else. I shifted slightly. Just to test it. Just to see if he'd react. He didn't move. But the mattress dipped the tiniest bit closer. And for some reason that nearly undid me. Because if he moved even 1 inch more, I wasn't sure I'd have the strength to keep pretending. I thought he might leave. At some point after I stopped crying, after the silence stretched too long, I thought maybe he'd quietly get up and walk out. But he didn't. He stayed. I heard the soft creak of his body shifting. The whisper of fabric. And then, the bed moved. Not much. Just enough. Enough for me to know he was lying down now, not just sitting there watching over me like some guiltless angel. We were back to back. Not touching. But almost. It was the kind of closeness that made everything sharper. My breathing. The way the sheet stuck to my thigh. The pulse behind my knees. Everything. I stayed still. Like that would protect me. But it didn't. Because I could feel his heat. And worse, I wanted to. I wanted him to close the space. I wanted his arm to find mine by accident. I wanted a reason to turn around and face what we both kept pretending wasn't there. I wasn't stupid. I knew what this looked like. What it felt like. I knew what it meant for someone to stay, especially him. But I also knew his girlfriend's name. I knew what it meant that we hadn't crossed a line. Yet. And still I lay there. Not asleep. Not innocent. Not anything I could name without my voice breaking. And then, I felt his breath before I felt his skin. A pause. A question hanging in the air. Then the barest brush of his back against mine. Like gravity had made the choice for us. Barely there. But enough to make my whole body answer. He didn't say a word. Neither did I. But inside me something cracked. And I knew this wasn't a mistake. It was a beginning. Time got strange. Like the room forgot how to move forward. Seconds stretched. The kind that hold too much. Too much thought. Too much ache. Too much almost. His back pressed to mine just barely, but that was enough. More than enough. Because once you felt someone like that, there's no going back to pretending they're just a friend. Not when the air around them tastes different. Not when every inch of you wakes up just because they're near. I should have shifted away. That would have been the same thing. The safe thing. But I didn't. Instead, I let my spine stay there, curved gently into his. No words. No motion. Just that soft, forbidden point of connection. And I waited. I waited to feel guilty. I waited for him to pull away. Neither happened. I think we both held our breath. I wanted to speak, but I didn't know what to say that wouldn't destroy us. Or maybe reveal us. He exhaled, slow and quiet. I felt it slide down my shoulder. My skin flinched like it had been touched, even though it hadn't. His fingers were near mine. Not close enough to touch. Just near enough for a thought to form. If I moved an inch, he'd move too. I knew that like I knew my own name. But I stayed still. Because this moment, this half-connection, it was dangerous. But it was also beautiful. And I didn't want to lose it. Even if it was borrowed. Even if it didn't belong to me. Even if he didn't. He didn't touch me. But I still felt ruined. It happened so slowly, I almost convinced myself I imagined it. A shift. His hand moved, not to touch me, but to rest near mine. Palm open. Fingers loose. Like an invitation he was too careful to actually speak. My breath caught. Because it was nothing. But also everything. That distance between us, maybe 2 inches, maybe less, held more tension than anything I've ever felt. And then I moved. Not on purpose. Not even fully. Just a slight curl of my pinky. And it grazed his. That was it. 1 breath. 1 inch of skin. But I swear to God, my whole body went quiet, like it was listening. He didn't pull away. He didn't say a word. But his pinky curled back. Touched mine. Stayed. It wasn't a kiss. But it felt like one. That kind of touch that isn't about pressure, it's about permission. And once it's given, there's no pretending it wasn't. My heart pounded so loud I thought he'd hear it. I didn't dare look at him. I didn't dare not feel him. We stayed like that. Fingers barely linked. Like kids testing the edge of something they don't have a name for yet. And maybe that was the truth of us. We didn't know what this was. Or what came next. But in that moment, I wasn't sad anymore. I was just awake. And terrified of what that meant. We didn't move for a long time. Just stayed there, fingers barely touching, backs warm against each other. Like 2 people suspended between right and wrong, and secretly hoping time would freeze. It felt sacred. Like something we weren't supposed to have, but had anyway. And I knew deep down this wasn't just comfort. This wasn't just staying. This was something neither of us could name without breaking it. Then I felt him shift again. Just slightly. His fingers slid along mine, slow, hesitant. Like he was asking a question without saying a word. I didn't answer. Not out loud. But I turned my hand, palm up, open. That was enough. He laced his fingers through mine, and I swear the way he did it, it wasn't possessive. It wasn't bold. It was careful. Like he was afraid I'd disappear if he held me too tightly. And that broke something in me. Because this wasn't a guy chasing something he wanted. This was a man trying not to want the thing that was already his. His thumb brushed across the inside of my wrist, once. Just once. But I felt it like a spark beneath my skin. The kind that doesn't burn, just marks you. And in that quiet room, with all the wrong feelings and all the right instincts tangled between us, I realized something terrifying. I didn't want him to stop. Not because I was lonely, but because he was the only one who ever touched me like I mattered. I don't know how long we stayed like that. Backs touching. Fingers intertwined. Breath sinking without trying. But eventually he moved. Not away. Toward. Slow. Careful. Like he was afraid the room might wake up and remind us who we were supposed to be. I felt the shift in the mattress first. Then the warmth of his chest, just slightly closer. Then he exhaled, and it landed right at the curve of my neck. I froze. Not because I didn't want it, but because I wanted it too much. I turned over slowly, like the weight of the moment made everything heavier. And there he was, closer than he'd ever been. Eyes searching mine like he was looking for an answer he wasn't brave enough to ask. I could feel the tension in him, the pull, the guilt, the want. But he didn't reach for me. He waited. Because that's who he was, someone who'd never take what wasn't offered. And so for the first time I did something I never thought I'd do. I moved closer. Not much. Just enough for my forehead to touch his. And the second our eyes met, everything changed. The space between us wasn't space anymore. It was history. It was longing. It was years of almost crashing into a single now. He closed his eyes. His lips parted, not to kiss but to breathe me in. And suddenly, the room felt too small for the secret we were holding. Because this wasn't just comfort anymore. It was confession. Without a word spoken. He didn't kiss me. That's what I keep going back to. He could have. He wanted to. I saw it. In the way his lips parted like they were waiting for permission. In the way his hand hovered at my waist, not touching but not letting go either. And I would have let him. God, I would have let him. But he didn't. Instead, he just held my gaze like it was the only thing keeping him upright. And then he whispered it. Tell me to stop. His voice cracked. Just slightly. Like the words cost him something. I couldn't say anything. My body was screaming yes, but my mind, my heart, it was already his. Had been for longer than I cared to admit. So I didn't tell him to stop. I didn't tell him anything. I just leaned in so close our foreheads touched again. So close I could feel his restraint trembling between us. And then I said the one truth I couldn't swallow anymore. I don't want you to. He didn't move. Didn't kiss me. Didn't rush anything. He just pulled me in slowly and wrapped his arms around me like he'd been waiting years to do it. Like he needed it as much as I did. There was nothing urgent. Nothing reckless. Just warmth. Breath. His hand at the back of my head, holding me like a secret he finally got to keep. And I broke. Right there in his arms, not from sadness this time, but from the terrifying relief of being seen. We didn't speak again. There was nothing left to say. Because in that silence, in that sacred breathless stillness, we didn't need words. We were the confession. And we both knew. We'd crossed a line we couldn't uncross. But neither of us wanted to go back. The end. Or maybe, the beginning.